Yes, sir. Yeah. Good. Oh, my. Brian. Oh, you're right, Mike's not here, so yeah, that's Brian, Mike, yeah. All right, we're good. Look at, he emailed last month. Yeah, he's in Alaska. Is that where you went, Alaska? Yeah. You guys do the first. I'm reading. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's just part of the. Free. Perfect. Yeah. We're closer to looking at. Is that what you're going to next time? Go along with it. So it's stuff on these years then? Yeah. Yeah, my. Well, we need to get over and join the board if you want. There's gonna be room today. Or you don't want to, somebody, I'm sure you like somebody. But our city attorney won't be here either.
And she called me out. I was here.
He's that way, so he's, it's too big and stable. Yeah, well, it's a couple of years, 2 draft plan, first one. No interest in that, right? It's not many good, so it's pretty cool. Action management instead of saying, here's 13 updates. We can speed. You can review and replace, that makes it small. Whether that up in graphics for. And they do like piecemeal little like, well, this section is this section is that. Let's just. Well, that's the funny thing, so the new plan says anything with this, in the circle, there's only some. But then the very next month, Jeff Brown. Yes. Come on. Yeah. No, get it. Six. One of which was Medicare. I mean, are you ready? We're still the ones who catch up because they're the ones. Early, but you guys ready? Yeah. We're good.
I'd like to bring the June meeting of the City of Columbus Graphics Commission to order. Is there any preliminary business, Mr. Priest?
No, there's not.
Okay, then we'll go to our main agenda. Our first case is DC 22-010, 700 Children's Drive. The applicant, please come forward.
Okay, last, I've got to recuse myself.
Okay. Thank you. Morning and ladies, I would need to swear you in first. You guys like to, swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but true self, God.
I don't give a damn.
Would you repeat your name for the record and your affiliation to this case?
Tim Barrett, Planet Studios, agent for the client.
Thank you,
Carla Fontaine, Community Relations Manager, Nationwide Children's.
thank you,
Scott McClure, Director of Design and Construction, Nationwide Children's.
thank you. Pam, would you mind spelling your name out for the clerk?
F as in Frank, Ountaine.
Thank you, Suzanne, as the script. Maybe.
Okay, 700 Children's Drive, GC 23010. The 80+ acre site is built with nationwide children's hospital campus. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit residential to the north, east, and south, with commercial to the west. The applicant proposes to repeal the existing graphics plan, GC 16-016, and replace it with this current proposal, which will include all previous signs covered in GC 16-016, as well as the new wall, ground, and directional signage for the expanding campus. Columbus Citywide planning policies, design guidelines state some types of signs are generally discouraged, such as pole signs. The proposal is largely consistent with these guidelines. However, staff note pole signs are proposed on the north side of 500 Butterfly Gardens Drive parking structure, as well as on the south and northwest sides of the Butterfly Gardens Drive building. These are inconsistent with the guidelines. However, staff recommend these three signs be modified, or they recommend they be modified, but can approve them based on the overall feel of the campus. The Division of Traffic Management notes that it would appear that sign BH04 is the only newly proposed ground sign. With this plan and this location as supported, if any of the ground signs are newly proposed, please clarify, which I don't think there were any new ones. So yeah, I think clarified that. The Livingston Avenue Area Commission, Columbus Southside Area Commission, Near East Area Commission, all have recommended approval. City staff can recommend approval as the need for additional signage is necessitated by the expansion of the overall campus and the dire need for identification and direction. With that, I will turn it over to the applicants.
Thank you. Would you present your case, please?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. As Jamie mentioned, we have gone through 3 area commissions and 2 civic associations as well, Schumacher Place and German Village, that would support in all 5 bodies. This first graphic, I realize our application was very voluminous. We tried to include everything, so we boiled it down to 3 slides for you tonight to make this as brief as possible. This first slide shows all of the graphics on campus, but if you look at your page, we've kind of changed the key. There's just 2 colors, blue and green, on the graphics in front of you. The green represents, the green represents the new signs being sought for with this graphics plan update. The blue was all covered under the 2016 graphics plan update. If I draw your attention to the northeast part of campus, we've got Parsons Avenue north and south forming a cross with Livingston Avenue. This is the main campus. This is referred to as West Campus. We've got south and east, and then nearest or northeast. These 3 signs on the nearest office building were within permit. They were approved. They're installed. We're just including them to update the graphics plan so there's a complete representation of signage on campus. The bulk of the signage we were requesting is on the West Campus, and anybody who's driven down East Livingston in the last couple of years has seen the large volume of construction on that portion of Nationwide's campus. Tonight, in particular, we're going to talk about the Silver Garage, the Conference Center, RV4, and the new orthopedic surgery building, which is currently coming out of the ground. So these top 2 images show this what's called the Silver Garage. It's the garage under construction to the left of the Behavioral Health Pavilion as you look north on campus going across East Livingston. We're looking for approval on these 2 butterfly bursts, which the the hospital uses on all of their garage. These are the same size, location that have already been approved on the yellow garage. It helps people find the garage. The trailblazers that the campus uses are up on top. It's either the burst or it's the logo. And so people can see them from the highways. They can see them from some of the neighborhoods as they approach campus. All of the wayfinding that the client does to patients coming on board or coming on campus is to their parking garage. Once they're at the right parking garage, it's easy to get to their service line, but they're not parking on the wrong side of campus. So we've got these two bursts on the north and south elevation, and then we've got this colored portal, which marks the entrance to the garage. If you've been on campus, there's a yellow portal for the yellow garage, blue for blue, orange for orange. So again, it's just keeping with the vernacular that's present on campus currently. There's a counter sign in front of every garage as well, which is as you enter. It's pretty much located right here. And again, that just gives the people coming in the ability to see how many parking spaces are available. Two other signs. This is the sign Jamie brought up on the north side of behavioral health. This is for first responders. The current condition there is there's a card reader that squads use to come in after hours or with crisis conditions if they're in a squad to pull into a sally port. It's a protected environment so the patient can be released in a controlled environment and not with no fear of getting away from the doctors or the nurses or any other staff. Like I said, there's a card reader that sits here. We went with the illuminated post and panel. We understand concerns of the city. I've discussed it with Scott, and he's completely on board with if it was approved with the condition that it changes to the taller 10-foot illuminated monument, which is also on campus right now. There's nearly 15 of those signs currently on campus with garage information or parking information.
And if I can clarify, the planning division wasn't conditioning approval on that. That was just their recommendation.
Okay,
For the guidance, so.
gotcha.
It's up to the commission.
These are the signs that were mentioned, the three signs that were mentioned as, that they wanted modified to monument.
It was this one is the main one.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, is your microphone on?
Sorry, I was speaking into it. These are the three.
I got it.
I asked about the three signs and he clarified that it was just the sign on the right.
Yep, yes. This other building shows the conference center, which went online in 2021. There's currently a butterfly burst similar to this sign on this part of the building. With the addition of the silver garage as part of the master plan, there's now a tuning fork type of roadway to layout where as you come in off Parsons on Children's Gateway, you can either go north down Metzel or around on Butterfly Gardens, and that's the entrance into the garage. What we would like to do is, being such a prominent entrance to the campus, is switch this sign out to a full logo, again, announcing it's the Nationwide Children's Campus. And that's it for those two buildings. The other two buildings, as I stated, are Research Building 4, which Research Building 3 went online more than 10 years ago. That has two signs currently on it. On the east elevation, it has the Abigail Wexner Research Institute. And on the north elevation, opposite this, is the logo. Again, it's visible as you come down Parsons or you're on 71. It kind of confirms that you're approaching campus. We would like to put in a twin to that logo on the south side of RB3. We know this is RB4, but the visibility of this corner down Parsons is much greater. As you get away from campus, some of the structures down Parsons obstruct the view. And then the Abigail Wexner Research Institute, the twin for that would go on the west elevation of RB4. So that this is that elevation. As you pull into Butterfly Gardens, you would see it there, or as you're coming east on Livingston. And then finally, the Livingston Orthopedics Surgery Center. We're looking for, again, the Trailblazer logo up high, again, consistent with sizes of signs that have already been approved on campus. With behavioral health, the hospital has taken to providing opportunities for naming facilities. And so we don't have anything confirmed, but we would like the ability at a pedestrian level to include a building name. And then if this building, and then there's a sign down here along East Livingston in the south west corner of the building. You might know, this is, if you look on your drawings, this is the LAC building, the Livingston Ambulatory Center. There's currently two signs on this building, one here and one just off the edge of the graphic. If this sign's approved, those would be removed because they're redundant and you can't see them. So we would actually be reducing the signage footprint.
You said which sign was it? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, so this is along East Livingston on the southwest corner of the building. And behind it is the Livingston Ambulatory Center, which currently is there. This will connect that building. If we're able to put this one up, there's two signs that currently exist on this building that would no longer be needed, so we would have those removed.
So what I have in front of me is a picture of what you want it to look like.
Correct, it's a rendering, yes. And then finally, given the entrance to this building in the courtyard across from yellow garages where people are going to be directed to park, they would like to have the ability to put the name again of the building if it's approved above the entrance to make sure people go into the right entrance and not the patient discharge door, which is located slightly down the canopy from there. In a nutshell, that's what we're here seeking.
Are there any questions? Is there anyone here else that would like to speak to this case? This is a graphic plan, correct? Correct. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question. So on the one with the butterfly, you just want to have the butterflies, you don't want to have the name of the insurance.
On the garage?
On the silver garage on North Face.
Yes, correct. On the garages, we just have the butterfly, we call it butterfly burst, and those are on the north and south elevations, identical to what's on Yellow Garage. So as you pull into this campus, straight ahead of you is the Behavioral Health Pavilion. You'll have the Yellow Garage on the left. You'll see the butterfly burst and the canopy directing you into there. We only want the same thing on the Silver Garage, which would have the colored canopy and the butterfly burst.
And there are conditions, Mr.
Correct.
Correct. And let's vote on this. Let's begin it.
Ms. Augustine?
Yes.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Gary?
Yes.
And Chair Thompson?
Yes, and it is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something before you guys go?
Yeah.
My hesitancy was only because I've been to all of these buildings, I've used these facilities because I've had children.
Mhm.
And I just, I feel like I'm talking. And so I just, I've had a hard time trying to figure out how to get in these buildings and which building is which building. And I don't know if a butterfly would help me, but I just wanted to share that.
Okay. We appreciate that. On the canopy, you may not be able to see it, but it does say silver parking, yellow parking. So it does communicate more to pedestrian level, just not up.
That's how I would find it from the parking, the code of the parking, share with me. So
Yes, yep.
I just find
And
it
again-
important.
If you notice, there's two different sizes of monument signs on campus. They call it primary vehicular directional and a secondary vehicle directional. One's just a little bit bigger than the other, but the only information you'll see on that is the emergency department, psychiatric crisis department, and the nearest parking garages. Everything else is off, because again, the wayfinding strategy is get the patient and their family to the right parking spot. And then from there, it's going to get to the building where your service lines and things. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And the next case is BC 22-011, 1415 Old Leonard Avenue, again, support. So, go to homes, we can introduce yourself again. Would you give your name for the record and your affiliation to this case?
Eric Zartman, I'm an attorney for the applicant.
Thank you, sir. Representing this one,
1415 Old Leonard Avenue is located on the south side of Old Leonard Avenue and north of I-670.
It is zoned M Manufacturing District and is located in North Central Area Commission. The site is developed with a warehouse, car supply, and a new addition for wind supply. Surrounding uses are manufacturing and residential further to the north and northeast. The applicant proposes relocating the existing wall sign for car supply on the rear of the building and the installation of an additional wall sign on the rear of the building. The applicant is requesting variances to allow the relocated wall sign for car supply to be located on a wall that does not enclose the use that the sign is intended to serve, and to increase the graphic area for two wall signs from 16 square feet to 548 square feet for car supply and 481 square feet for wind supply. Planning supports the proposal stating that the North Central Plan states graphics should reflect a uniform design and that lighting sources be internal, and that the wall signs are consistent with the guidelines and therefore supported. Division of Traffic Management had no comments, and the North Central Area Commission recommends approval of the request. Staff recommends approval of proposed signs because they are uniform in design and consistent with the North Central Plan guidelines. There are no recommended conditions.
Sir, would you present your case?
Thank you, Chair Coxon. Members of the commission, thank you. So this property is about 8 acres in size. It's located north of Interstate 670, and it is surrounded on all sides by manufacturing uses. There's a railroad easement between 670 and the building itself. The primary purpose of this application was car supply and wind supply. I'm going to try to keep them separate, but they sound the same. So the existing tenant here is car supply. They've been in this building for a number of years. The building itself has expanded a couple times, reduced a couple times, and in its current state, it's about twice the size of the original building. Wind Supply has purchased the property, and they wish to move in and become co-tenants with Car Supply. So the primary purpose of this application was to request from the Graphics Commission variances to allow the wind supply on the south side of the building addressing Interstate 670. They feel it's most appropriate for their, if they do have one sign, to be on the south side of the building facing Interstate 670 rather than Old Leonard Avenue, which is better for wayfinding for the trucks that are trying to find the site itself. So that was the basis of the application, and during due diligence of the research and working with zoning clearance, we discovered that the sign that is existing on the east side of the building, you're currently looking at rendering. The next picture you're going to see is an actual picture. This sign on the east side of the building was originally permitted on this building on the east side of it in 1997. With the expansion and reductions of the buildings, this graphic happened to lose its zoning clearance permit. It hasn't been cited for enforcement or anything like that, but we are just being vigilant about this and trying to get entitlements so that they don't end up getting a zoning violation down the road. But this is already a manufactured sign. It's been on the east side of this building, depending on which extension, since 1997. So the second part of this application is to request variances which would permit the continued existence of this sign. As the presentation,
Picture, sir?
pardon me?
Is that a graphic or is that a picture?
This is a picture. Yes.
The small lettering to the right of this.
If you look in your packet, you can see the graphic permit from 1997, and it's got the words on it. It's like lumber, plumbing, showroom, heating, air conditioning, kitchen. As Stephen said, the area commission voted, I believe it was 10-0, and planning is in support of the application. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion for approval? For the finding of fact on this?
I'll make a motion to adopt as the finding of fact, the summary offered by staff, in addition to the statements offered by the applicant.
We have a second?
Oh, second.
Second, all in favor, use the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, have it. Can we have a motion based on the finding of fact for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
can we vote on this? Roll call?
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it is approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it.
The next case is 3136 City Road, GP 22-013. Sir? First, I'll hope you can do something.
Yes.
Should you repeat your name for the record, your affiliation for this case?
Steve Bollinger, owner of the development.
Thank you.
3136 Tradeview Road, located at northeast corner of Tradeview Road and Dublin Road, is Zone M manufacturing and is located in the West Scioto Area Commission. The site is set vacant, but is currently being developed as a mixed-use development that includes a metro park, housing, and offices. The applicant proposes to install an off-premises ground sign for a recent mixed-use development project. The applicant is requesting a special permit to install an off-premises ground sign at the intersection of Tradeview Road and Quarry Trails Drive. Planning is supportive of the request, while C2P2 recommends against off-premises signs and ground signs in excess of 6 feet. The plan encourages monument-style signs in suburban areas. Staff supports the proposal as presented, as the location is an entrance to the park, and the height in excess of 6 feet is minimal considering the proposed mounting. Commission traffic management has no comments. The area recommendation was received this morning from the West Scioto Area Commission recommending approval of the request. Staff can recommend approval as a proposed off-premises sign because the for off-premises sign because the proposed sign style is encouraged in suburban areas as appropriate sign for park signage. And there are no recommended conditions.
And thank you. Sir, would you present your case?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the project at Quarry Trails with partner with Metro Parks. We're excited to open up the entrance to Tradeview and Quarry Trails Drive. We think we've done a pretty good job of paying homage to what the quarry used to be, as well as doing a joint sign with Metro Parks. So I don't really have much more for that.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, do I have a motion based on the finding of fact?
Make a motion to adopt as the finding of fact the summary offered by staff, as well as the statements of the applicant to the extent that they're consistent with staff summary.
Thank you. Is it second?
I'll second.
When you sign, all in favor, you sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. Have it. Now we have a motion based on finding of fact for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
and then call the roll.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
and Chair Thompson.
Yes. It's approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sit for the next one.
Excuse me?
I'm on the next one as well.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 2130 Quarry Trails Drive, which has already been sworn. There,
GC 22014 2130 Quarry Trails Drive is located on the east side of Quarry Trails Drive. It is zoned M manufacturing and is part of the West Scioto Area Commission. The site is currently being developed with a 3-story office building. Surrounding uses are multi-unit and single-unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to install 3 wall signs for identification of 3 separate tenants on 3 separate floors of an office building. A variance is requested to allow for a 30-square-foot wall sign on the 3rd floor with a condition that the 1st and 2nd floor wall signs will be limited to 30 square feet each. Planning is supportive of the request. Columbus citywide planning policy states that signage should not be excessively large or obscure/interfere with architectural lines and details. The proposed signs are not excessively large in relation to the overall building and will be appropriately placed on the facade. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the West Scioto Area Commission voted to recommend approval on June 16th. Staff can recommend approval as the signage is necessary to identify individual tenants. They are not excessively large in relation to the overall building and are appropriately placed on the facade. The conditions they recommend are all three wall signs be limited to 30 square feet each.
Sir, you agreed to the condition?
Yeah, so we took the office building and we have actually sold each floor to the tenants themselves. And so we obviously wanted to be able to give them space to house signs for themselves. But other than that, it's on the entry. The one nice thing about the site itself is that it drops about 30 feet from the road. And so really what you see on the third floor more or less feels as if it's the first floor on Trade Road. And doesn't really interfere with, getting up too high in the space along Tribune.
Okay. Are there any questions?
So did the area commission review and approve this?
Yeah, that's how they voted on it on June 16th, so that's why it says that's the writing of that report that it hadn't voted, but we received that one and it's today, so.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Do I have a finding of fact for this application?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to adopt as a finding of fact the summary offered by staff as well as the statements by the applicant to the extent they're consistent with that summary.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, you sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. And we have a motion for approval based on finding of fact.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
yes, and it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next case. is DC 22-05, 726 West Broad Street. The applicant, please come forward. First of all, true to not be sure. Your name for the record, in affiliation to this case.
My name is Mitchell Powell. I work for C&B Sign Services. I'm here to represent the owner, Kirkall Gill, who is the owner of Maja LLC.
Thank you, sir. MC. Please present yourself, Mr. Freeze.
Yes. Okay, 726 West Broad Street is located at the northwest corner of West Broad Street and North Green Street. The site is on C4 commercial and is located within the Franklinton Area Commission. The 0.226 acre site is built with a 1,769 square foot fuel station and convenience store. The applicant proposes to modify and update the branding of the existing non-permitted 37.02 square foot automatic changeable copy sign from mobile to Sunoco. The previous update from manual to automatic changeable copy was never permitted. Therefore, a variance to allow a graphic with automatic changeable copy within the UCO is required. The overall height and graphic area of the sign will not change. The site is within the West Franklinton plan and also has early adoption of Columbus citywide planning policies, C2P2. C2P2 discourages automatic changeable copy signs and recommends that signage be monument to style. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Franklinton Area Commission recommends approval. City staff is recommending disapproval. However, staff would support the request for automatic changeable copy for the fuel prices as proposed if the sign were a monument sign. Otherwise consistent with the urban commercial overlay and C2P2 design guidelines. That turn it back to you.
Do you mind presenting your case now, sir?
Yes, sir. Back around January, we permitted through the usual process and moved over this site that we have here from mobile to Sunoco, updating the look of a lot of things in the process. When we filed for the sign permit, which we initially had imagined was going to be a simple reface, we did discover that in 2013, the previous contractors that had been working at the site, it appears did not successfully get the permit, or for whatever reason, there is no permit on file with the city. We have found that a permit was applied for in 2013, but I don't know what the details of that are beyond that. It's possible that the permit was denied over automatic changeable copy. I'm not sure. Our company wasn't involved at that point. So what we would like to do is to reface the sign to move to Sunoco. We'd like to remove half of the automatic changeable copy that's there now, going from pricing two prices to one price, and otherwise keep the sign as much as possible like it is now, and a fresh coat of paint on the walls. From a safety standpoint, we generally prefer automatic changeable copy to the manuals that you've seen. Usually when those are done, there's a long suction cup on a pole that's used to change them out. And that might be a perfectly safe way of doing it for 3 months or 6 months, but at some point, the tracks will begin to stick. And then at that point, you're gonna be going up and down the ladder, including when it's snowy outside every time prices need changed. So that is what we're hoping to do to this sign.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? I have a question. I don't quite understand the disapproval on this one, considering how many other changeable copy
Correct.
signs we have.
Yeah, typically staff does recommend approval of automatic changeable copy signs for fuel pricing. However, this one, as you see, was changed without permits. So the planning commission said, well, we'll let them slide on that as long as they bring down the monument. So if this were a monument sign, we'd be in full approval, but because it is a full sign, planning looked at it as 2 negatives. And I would also like to add, if approved, we have a typical condition that the automatic changeable copy will be for fuel pricing only. But that in a nutshell is what we're recommending.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, would you read the condition of it being only for
Yes,
prices?
we agree to the condition, and also in this case, as a Sunoco sign, they're all manufactured by a company named Everbright, and all they have is the 4 digits. There's nothing else they physically could display.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on this sign?
Well, is it reasonable to enclose the bottom area to make it a monument sign? And are we talking about all the way to the ground or all the way to the concrete
Well,
foundations?
For a
that
monument
come
sign,
up?
wouldn't he have to have some sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, base or landscaping around the base?
Yeah, well, to answer Mr. Williams' question, first of all, yes, a monument sign would be a monolith from top to the bottom. You can just stop it here. And then typically code does require landscaping around the base.
Is that something that might be possible for you to agree to, sir?
The difficulty with converting this sign to a monument, one of them is if you're converting a sign, typically what we would do is we would have sort of a thin sheet of metal that would go around the poles all the way to the ground. In this case, we've got these 2 concrete sort of stubs that are part of the foundation that are about 24 inches around. So whatever would go over the sign would then have to come out and go over them in some way. And
What if you just covered the sign down to those and landscaped around the concrete?
Covering them down to the top of those things, that would not be too terribly difficult. Would it be all right if I ask planning a question?
Correct, go ahead.
When planning would prefer a monument sign, are they envisioning something smaller than this sign? Or would something like what's being described here more or less satisfy what planning is looking for?
Sure, yeah, what the chairman is proposing would satisfy planning's comments. Because like I said, the definition of monument sign is a monolith sign from top to bottom. And even if you went wider at the base, that would still constitute a monument sign. If you went wider at top, it would be a pylon sign. Both pylon signs and pole signs are prohibited in UCO.
Okay, then our preference in this case, if it was up to us, which we recognize it is not, our preference would be to not convert it to a monument sign. However, if it was something that was required that we would need to put the metal sheeting down to the top level of those bases, we can do that. And then the issue of landscaping might be a little bit more difficult because where this is now is, there's essentially parking lot on all sides of this. And so there would be some tearing up of asphalt, and I'm not completely sure what's under there.
As long as it's plantings around it, would that be sufficient for panel?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
If he put plantings around it, would that just stuff out?
Like a planter box.
Yes, absolutely, because I should be a friend to the community.
So something in planter boxes and water, that kind of thing.
Something to kind of soften the look of the base.
I'm sure we could come up with something like that.
Can we have some wording then? Or I suppose I could make it that enclose the sign below the changeable copy and signage to the concrete bases, and then you provided plantings around the base to basically landscape that portion.
I would request a follow-up to,
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Can hear you.
can we request a follow-up if this is approved?
It'll be under the purview of the inspection department, then whether or not he followed through with the variance.
That's right. If you happen to drive down and see this,
See it, you can report it.
I drive down there all the time.
Okay, then do I have a motion on this?
I'll make the motion to adopt as a finding of fact the summary offered by staff as well as the statements by the applicant to the extent they are consistent with that summary.
There's second.
Second.
And all in favor, you sign by.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. And can I have a motion to approve based on finding of fact?
I'll make the motion to approve, and it's my understanding that it comes with the conditions that the chair just described.
Correct.
The motion to approve with those conditions.
Second,
Second.
call roll.
Ms. Augustine,
Aye, and yes.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it's approved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, GC 22-006, 1400 Automall Drive with application forward. And repeat your name for the record and your affiliation to this case.
Rebecca Green, I'm the agent, zoning resources.
Thank you. Mr. Freeze.
Yes. Okay, 1400 Automall Drive is located on the east side of Automall Drive, approximately 575 feet south of Georgesville Road. The site is zoned M Manufacturing and is located within the Westland Area Commission. The site is developed with an automobile dealership. Surrounding uses include I-71 to the east and other auto dealerships to the north, south, and west. The applicant proposes to reconfigure the site by raising and rebuilding the sales and service buildings and ultimately repeal and replace an existing graphics plan. The existing plan consists of 12 signs, 9 wall signs and 3 ground signs. The new plan consists of 8 signs, 4 wall signs directed towards Automall Drive, 3 ground signs, a pole sign directed towards I-270, 1 monument identification sign at the entrance from Automall Drive, and 1 internal directional sign. The planning division generally is in support of the proposed graphic plan, but requests that the applicant reduce the height of the proposed ground signs D and E. These signs, I believe, have been removed, and the Division of Traffic Management has no comments regarding the request. The Westland Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff will recommend approval with the condition that the ground sign D along Automall Drive be reduced to 6 feet tall. That has been, again, removed completely, correct?
Sign E was removed.
Oh, I'm sorry, sign E. Okay, ground sign D along Automall Drive will be reduced to 6 feet tall. That was the condition, right?
That's what plan suggested that it be 6 feet.
Correct.
Okay, ma'am, would you present your case?
Sure. So, this is the Hyundai Auto dealership on Automall Drive. I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with that drive. It accommodates many, many kinds of car dealers, all of which have signs along Automall Drive that are excess of
Pull
6.
that towards you, just, thank you.
Oh, sure, that are in excess of 6 feet tall. Set to the south of the site is, to the south of the site is a dealership, to the west of the site is a dealership, to the north of the site is a dealership. To the east is the ramp to the I-2. So what they're doing is they're removing the used car sales building and putting additions onto the existing building to kind of make it one big, really big building. They're reducing, thank you so much. They're reducing the total numbers of signs substantially. There will be no signage along the east side or the north side, or the south side. The exception, there is an existing sign that is a Subaru sign, which will remain. That is with respect to Germain Hyundai's, or Germain Subaru, which is across the street from us. It's the same ownership, but a different dealer type. That existing sign will remain. All the new signage is going to be on the west side. There'll be four signs, or wall signs, one directional sign, and a single ground sign. My understanding is that the ground sign is the most problematic in that it's intended to be almost 18 feet tall. Planning has asked us to keep the 6 foot. But again, if we did, that would be the only dealer sign at the 6 foot height. All the others are very close to the proposed sign height. The Westland Area Commission did not seem concerned about the 6 foot recommendation. They felt that all the other signs the dealers had a similar sign height. And they did approve our application.
That would be the Hyundai German sign.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. And there are other existing dealer signs that are the same.
All along Automobile Drive, you can see existing signage that is at least as tall as what we're asking. Honda sign, the Toyota signs, all along there.
We don't have any photos. Do we?
Now, yeah, this is an older case and I couldn't locate the actual field photos, so, but I can confirm what the applicant is saying.
Okay.
So we're basically just asking for the same sign height along Automobile Drive, and we will have substantially fewer signs than we've had before.
Any questions? Any more questions?
So you're going from 12 signs to 8? Was that the number?
That was what I heard. Is that correct?
Here's what's existing.
Yes, that's correct. We're doing 12 signs to 8.
Yeah, this is the existing plan. This is proposed.
Their focus is is really just to put signage along Automobile Drive. And they're going from the older blue look to the new bronze.
This is the graphics plan, then let's vote on this.
Mr. Bender,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes.
Chair Thompson.
Yes, and it was approved. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
We did not include the condition on that.
Correct. Well,
We
I
didn't.
assumed you didn't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other businesses, Bruce?
Nope.
Okay, in that case, we are adjourned.
Good job.
I had to get there.
I saw this, the size of the packet.
Motion for this is the, yeah.
Okay. I've got it. Very succinct. I was just trying to get it.
We are relying on people. If they say something that conflicts, you better be.
Well, yeah. and-
We are.
That's a practice matter. What's that?
Good job. I'll see you next week. But we pay back.
Anyway, so. Very.
That 90 formula?